the average salary for a DBA is about 150,000 US dollars.
Can a person who wants to become a professor can pursue this DBA program?
Absolutely.
What's the difference between both of the programs, DBA and PhD?
Sure. So your typical PhD program will run 3 to 5 years to complete it. So that's one thing. A DBA here, if you follow our model, you can complete your DBA in 2 years or 2.5 years, no more than 2.5 years.
At first, we would really like you to tell us about yourself.
Sure. So my name is Tilokie Depoo. I am the Provost Vice President for Birchwood University. This is a relatively new university that we started, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. But in terms of my background, I've started my background in corporate. I've been in strategic planning, product development. I've worked for a number of firms, including Blue Cross Blue Shield, Lever Brothers, Vandenberg Foods, the New York Daily News here, and a mid-scale managed care organization as Director of Strategic Planning. And then after some time in corporate, I decided to go into academia, and I've been in academia for about 20 years now, and I brought a lot of my experiences from corporate into academia. So now I do teach once in a while, but my role has mostly been as an academic administrator, as provost. I've been a department chair, a director of programs, a provost, chief academic officer, and dean several schools of business through the years. So that's a long way to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm currently here in New York, and our university is in Florida, so we do a lot of trips back and forth to the university.
Amazing, amazing. So that is actually a great journey. So at first, we would really like to know about what is Online DBA Program.
Sure. So at Birchwood University, it's a new university that was started, with a few creative folks sitting poolside at the Marriott Hotel. And we decided, well, if we wanted to change education, we could do it with starting a very new university. Initially, we started with 3. Our university, I should mention, is authorized to grant degrees from the Florida Department of Education Commission on Independent Education, CIE. In fact, as we speak today, they're having a meeting in Florida. But our programs, we've started with 3 academic programs: a master's in cybersecurity, master's in data science, and an MBA. And then in the last year and a half, we looked to see, how do we expand? How do we bring something new? And how do we allow our students to progress to the next level? Hence, we recently submitted for 4 new programs. And one of the new programs that I'm very, very much excited about is the Doctor in Business Administration, commonly known as a DBA program. And I think this DBA program, the design of it is revolutionary. It's designed specifically for professionals, and it's designed to be completed. Across the US and across the world, there are many, many people who start a doctorate program but never finish. And in my days in corporate, and then when I went into academia, that was one of the things that I was looking at. And I myself, when I was doing my PhD degree, I slowed down a little bit, and I took some time off because corporate was calling. But with this design, the Online DBA program that we've got, it's designed to make sure that you progress. The most challenging thing for a student, a prospective student, is to actually finish their dissertation. So, we focus, from the time the student enter our program, we focus on the dissertation to get them started on it, to get them comfortable with it, to make sure that they have a clear sense of where they're going. So yeah, our Online DBA is very unique. It allows for students to create their own pathways in terms of what they're interested. We may get a student who's in IT, right? Or we may get a student who wants to go to healthcare management, or a student who want to go into finance, marketing, or any one of those disciplines. And our DBA program allows you to do that. It allows you to create a pathway. So this way you maintain interest, you hold your interest, you develop yourself professionally, and you're contributing to what you presumably love, your field that you love. My academic discipline has always been in economics and strategic planning, so I was able to couple that when I did my dissertation. So you want to create something that is exciting, new, and connect to it.
Great, great. So, can a person who wants to become a professor can pursue this DBA program?
Absolutely. And I should talk a little bit about that, which is that, the DBA program is a professional degree, but importantly, it has a research component as well. So, several folks, and there's been a trend where you see a lot of DBA, a lot of schools for business would prefer to hire DBA rather than a PhD, because education has changed, and education has become more pragmatic, and education has become where you can connect the dots to your career, to the organization that you work with. And so our DBA program at Birchwood University is tailored for that. It's that's one of the unique features of our program, which is that you start your research, you contribute to your organization, and then you progress. If you wanted to publish your research, you also can take it into academia and use that as a basis for justifying that you have created new knowledge. And so yes, a person who has earned a DBA they are called a doctor, same way how a person who has a PhD is called a doctor. You're called a doctor. Our program is 60 credits, so you have the equivalency of knowledge that you have gained through going through the curriculum. So yes, absolutely, many schools now, as I said, many in particular business schools sought DBAs because they come with a practitioner focus rather than a PhD would come with more a theoretical focus, making it difficult to connect their knowledge that they have explored to, what is happening in industry.
So, you just mentioned PhD. So, can a person pursue a DBA program instead of PhD?
Yes, absolutely. You can seamlessly, even if you just have a bachelor's degree, you can apply and try to be considered for the DBA program. There's no absolute requirement that you must have a master's. We prefer you to have a master's because you're coming with some knowledge into the program, and you'll be going through, you can complete the program quickly. But yeah, you can just come straight into the DBA program. We encourage new students, same way how the PhD programs are designed as well, which is you can go from undergraduate degree to a PhD. I went through the route through the master's degree, where I got my bachelor's, master's, and then my doctorate. But many schools, in fact, when they were designing the doctorate program, it was mostly both for the DBA and the PhD. It was mostly designed that students will come in and do a full-time program, and they will spend most of their time at the university. But that has changed now. Technology has changed that, right? And lifestyle have changed that, where now programs are designed for you to do a combination of things, which is continue your profession, excel in your field, possibly raise a family, or, engage with your loved ones and partners, and, also go through and complete a degree to help you progress in your chosen career.
Well, you truly said technology has changed
Yeah.
a lot of things. So, we talked about the benefits. I mean, it's a great program and it is newly introduced, I guess.
Mhm.
So, most of the students don't know about the eligibility criteria of this program. So, can you please just tell about?
Absolutely. So basically, the eligibility are fairly common to many doctorate programs. We require you to have an essay. Tell us how you want to connect your education to what you're doing. So let's say you're working at IBM, right? And you wanted to come in, you want to continue your work. You can't afford not to work. You want to, the essay would tell us, well, how are you going to connect your research or your exploration in this practitioner model, educational model that we've got? How are you going to connect your education to your work that you're doing? So, it's almost, I hate to use that saying, kill two birds with one stone. Here we're creating two birds with one stone, which is, you're creating knowledge, you're connected to your work. So this way you have a better chance of getting the sponsors at your work engage in your research and your interest, because they see value at the end of what you will produce. That you have to do an essay for us. We prefer a master's degree. It's not absolutely required. You would have to send us your transcript. If you're an international student, have the transcript evaluated. You have to complete application that is required by the state of Florida. For us, we must have documentation on every single student, and we must have original transcript from students to ensure that they have the educational requirements. But I think one of the criteria that is not stated and written is this passion. You must have passion. You must be able to say, I want to do this because, I love the field that I'm in. I want to contribute to the organization and I want to create some new knowledge and make that connection between, academics and the industry or the organization that I'm with. So, that when we hear that, yeah, well, we're excited. I get excited because I know that the work that particular student is going to do is going to be valuable work. And more importantly, they have a passion. They're connected to it. It's their work and they'll, be successful with it. As I said, there are thousands and thousands of people who get to the dissertation stage and they never finish their dissertation. That's not what we want to do here. We want to make sure that you finish, because when you finish, we're successful. For us to be successful, you have to be successful, which is that you've got to finish that dissertation. And if you look at our curriculum, we'll talk a little bit more about the curriculum, but if you look at our curriculum, from day one, from the day that you step into our university virtually, from that day, what you're doing is you start thinking about your first semester. You start thinking about your project. You start thinking about what literature exists that could help me understand what I want to pursue. Typical project for an organization is possibly launching and going into a new market. What does that mean, right? Or how do I leverage production at a different level or a different country, and what are the steps for that? Or if you're not for profit, right, and developing a healthcare product that transcend borders, right? That's something that we haven't seen too much in the market. Or using technology to solve a particular social problem that we've got in the world, climate change and things like that, and collecting data and ensuring that nations adhere to, or at least in interesting times now, but they adhere, but also that they do something and respond to the challenges. So there's so much room to get involved and to expand the knowledge, the practitioner based knowledge.
So, out of all things, you have to be passionate about the program.
Yes. Yes.
So, I can see that it is also quite similar to the PhD program in India.
Mhm.
So, I would really like you to show us the difference between both of the programs, DBA and PhD.
Sure. So your typical PhD program will run 3 to 5 years to complete it. So that's one thing. A DBA here, if you follow our model, you can complete your DBA in 2 years or 2.5 years, no more than 2.5 years. So technically, you're really cutting down the time to get a doctorate degree by half. Now, when you do that, what you're doing is there's something in economics that we call opportunity costs, right? You're reducing your opportunity costs. You're reducing your expenditure. So rather than spending 5 years of your life trying to get a doctorate, with our DBA, you get a doctorate in 2.5 and you start recouping money. The average salary for a DBA is about 150,000 US dollars, right? Many DBAs will go into, yeah, it is. It's truly amazing. Many DBAs will progress in an organization and move up to the C level.
People
Uh,
dream about this much of salary
yeah.
package.
And interesting enough, right? If you move a PhD, generally with a PhD degree, you stay in research, right? You do empirical research. So you get hired at a university, and as part of your hire, you're expected to create new knowledge or do something, unique and different. And so yes, the PhD now allows you to do your research in an area that you want to do it in, but you can do that with DBA as well. But your earning potential has not changed in terms of your PhD, right? Typical professors across the nation, maybe if they get into a really good program and a member of a good faculty, 125 or so. But if you stay in industry with the DBA degree, well, a CFO can make about 300,000, 400,000, right? A vice president for HR or a vice president for, finance or so can make, 500,000, 600,000 and eligible for bonuses across, time periods. So there's so much difference in terms, but, the PhD also is our DBA 60 credits. So yes, it's the same amount of credits, but we have what is called 8 weeks semesters. So you can do and complete all of the coursework in a year and a half. In a typical PhD program, you do 2 courses and you go through the traditional semesters, 3 months. So in essence, you can only do 6 courses in,
So this means one can complete the program in just 36 months.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And we encourage students to try to complete this program, and we don't want them, as I've said, there are thousands, what is called ABD, right? All but dissertation. Those are students who haven't completed their dissertation and found it, a little bit challenging, given life circumstances and so forth. But our institution, at Birchwood University, our focus is the practitioner focus. We're working if you come into one of our orientation, and you'll hear our students introduce themselves. They're from all across the globe, and they're all working. They're all professionals, but they realize, okay, I do need to have my degree. I need that credential to advance in my career. They have the knowledge, but you also need the credential. And so that's what we do. We help our students, earn that credential.
So we talked about the DBA program and the duration and everything, the eligibility criteria as well. So now I wanted to know about the DBA program of Birchwood University. How it is different from the other universities.
So, basically, the major difference is, what we coin and what is speed to completion. So basically, you come into our program and you're going to start working on your dissertation immediately. If you look at your very first semester with us, you will be taking, a preface to understanding business. You must understand, managerial accounting. You must understand managerial economics. You must understand managerial finance, right? And those things translate. Accounting is really about reporting an organization, a firm, resources, and to do it consistently so anyone can pick up the documents and look at it and understand, the financial state of the organization. Economics is about, how do you price your products? How does, changes in price, how does that, impact your revenue? And, the reality is that you don't necessarily always need to increase prices to increase profitability. you can also control cost. And that's what economics is. And finance is really the management of the firm's resources. So our DBA program, you're going to get those common, managerial competencies needed to be, a professional to sit at the table, and to communicate, where an organization is, what they're doing, and how they're doing. You will also, as I've mentioned over and over again, we have a course that's called the Project Seminar, right? And that is offered every semester to our students so they contribute over, the year and a half while they're doing their coursework. They contribute to their dissertation, their final project at the end of the year. We're very innovative in terms of, making sure that our student can secure additional certification en route to the DBA degree. So we'll have courses like project management, where, if you sit through our project management course, which is tied to the Project Management Institute, you can go sit for their examination and be certified as a worldwide project management. After our finance course, you can sit for a CFA examination. So we focus on that. We also try to make sure that our students, our DBA program is global in nature, that you can operate in any part of the world, that you can engage in not just business. If you found yourself at an NGO, that you can function in that society. So there are courses on cultural competencies. There are courses on organizational change. That's really what we do at Birchwood, which is, prepare you for the future, for you to make it a change.
And what is the reliability of Birchwood University, or I say approval of Birchwood University, that makes it degree valid?
So basically, our university is approved by, I briefly mentioned earlier that our degree granting authorization is granted to us by Florida Department of Education, and there's an agency in their Department of Education called Commission on Independent Education, because we're a private university. So we have to, every course, every degree program that we offer, we have to submit it to them. And, they have a group of commissioners that sit and they look at the curriculum and they look at the outcomes, and they then approve it. And only then can we offer the program. Our degree, we are a US based institution. So, we have to comply with Florida law as it guides us to student outcomes. If a student needed to verify who we are, they would go into Florida Department of Education, type in our name, and you'll see a link to Birchwood University, and it'll say, this institution is approved by the Department of Education, Commission on Independent Education. So that's what grants us the authority to go through academic programs and make sure that students are successful. And at the end of their program, our faculty recommend to the board of directors that, all right, this particular student has satisfied all of the requirements, and so the degree can be granted. And that's the happiest day for all of us, including the student, when we say, well, guess what? You're going to graduate now. You've satisfied all of the requirements. And, we encourage our students to go into society, make changes, change their lives, change their family's life, and change their society and community life. And then, that's a major accomplishment for us.
So, adding to that, can any background student pursue a DBA program? Let's say I have completed my master's in English literature and I've been working in corporate from last 6-7 years. So, can I pursue the program?
Absolutely. I mentioned the core managerial competency courses, managerial accounting, economics and finance, but we also have marketing. We also have data analytics. We also have international management. We also have, strategic management. Now, we start at the beginning. We don't start in terms of a continue. When I first started developing graduate level courses, right, we used to pack the curriculum as if the student, didn't have any background or any knowledge of academics. Now we don't need to do that. right? The student, if you come to us, let's say with an English background, well, when you sit in the research design course, that research design course, regardless of what background you come from, what academic discipline, you'll be able to use that course to help you frame your research. Maybe your research, if you come from English, is going to be, well, I want to create, a unique program to teach literacy, right? And so, that by doing that, by understanding what you want to do, then we can help you frame out what be your research design. We can then give you the skills, because if you want to create an organization to teach literacy because of your passion for literature or English, or you then need to know how to manage that. So our course, our curriculum then gives you all of those skill set.
And what are the specialization in which I can pursue the program?
So at this point, because what I mentioned about the specialization, is based on a student's particular interest. So, we have a lot of technology students, so they may want to do something in the technology field. So we'll create a pathway, and this means that we have about anywhere from 6 to 12 credits that the student can take that are specific to their interest in the field. So while we will have technology courses in the curriculum, then we would need to supplement it with additional courses to say, well, you need an advanced course in say cybersecurity, right? And we have those courses. Or you may need an advanced course in data analytics. We have those courses. So so you can do technology, you can do marketing, you can do finance, you can do so many other things in the curriculum.
If I ask you the benefits or the features of DBA program, if you can just tell us 5 or 10 benefits of it.
Okay. Number one is speed to completion. You can complete our DBA if you're really serious in 2 years, or if you want to slow it down, 2.5 years. Number two, the cost. Because we're reducing the time period, you don't have to extend the cost over 5-6 years if you wanted to pursue a PhD program. Number three, the relevancy of the program. Basically, the curriculum, when you look at this curriculum, it shouldn't be foreign to you. It's about what happens in an organization. It's what happens in industry. It's about what's happening in the real world. And then, we also talk about, the focus on making sure that you complete this degree. So every semester, there's, as I stated earlier, there is a course that is called the project seminar. And so you're in that course, you're working with a faculty member to help you develop your ideas. We don't want you to spend, hours and coursework and get to the end and not have a sense, what I want to do, what I want to write this dissertation on. We want you to develop it along the way. The other thing about this DBA program is the currency of the curriculum, which is it's got, as I mentioned, relevancy. It hits and it connects on different dots, which is your everything. It's almost like you're in the middle of this curriculum and everything else is supporting you, and the coursework and the faculty and everyone else is supporting you to complete it. So, these are sort of like the unique features, and the program is really designed, and this is big for us. We told the Department of Education that we want students to get to the dissertation phase, and at that very last semester to be submitting a dissertation to the faculty committee. Not that they walk away and said, well, I'll come back in 2 years and I'll do the dissertation. The real, what we notice and what I've noticed in higher ed, they don't come back, And so we have all of these students across America, across the globe, who have not completed their dissertation. They've completed their coursework, They satisfy and that's why this term ABD, all but dissertation, exists. And I remember when I was doing my doctoral work, and I hated that term because I don't want to be an ABD. If I'm going for a DBA, I want to be a DBA. I don't want to be an APD. And you'll see that some in higher ed, when you hire people who are currently in DBA programs or in PhD programs, they'll have the term ABD. And right away you start saying, well, let's talk about that ABD. And are you going to really I know I've personally have known people who have been ABD for about 10-15 years. So we don't want to do that at Birchwood University. We want you to complete this program because, as I said, we're a growing institution. We're a young institution. We want to do things right, which is that we want to make sure that our students are successful. Our success at Birchwood University is measured by the direct success of our students. If they're not successful, we're not successful. Many of us, including myself, who are one of the founders of the university, we wouldn't have lived up to our mission, which was to create a university that contributes to the professional and personal development of the student, who can then see and apply the knowledge that they've gained from us at their organization, at their workplace, or wherever, globally. So that's how we connect our education to our mission.
Great. So I have one question from the students only. They generally ask whether it is valid in India or not. Because here in India, PhD is more we have heard about, but DBA is quite new for us.
So let me start a little bit answering that question, right? It's surprising, the very first DBA that was awarded some 70 years ago was first DBA program, and it was in the US, I believe, was at Harvard University. So many institutions then start pursuing DBA program because the world of business is so vast, right? And there's so many organizations. We're not just talking about business, we're talking about organization, not-for-profit, NGOs, any direction this program can take you in. In terms of whether your program is valid and specifically you mentioned India. Yes. You're getting an American degree, you're going through coursework, and you're also producing an output, which is your dissertation, that anyone can go online or go to the Library of Congress here in the United States, and you'll see your dissertation there as being accepted and approved by the faculty member and the institution. So you will meet all of the requirements. This DBA and also the PhD, across the US and many of the European nations, they traditionally the PhD is that you just go into a research program, and you stay there and you work on your research without any coursework. Now, students, if you don't give them the coursework, they don't know how to work on the research. So and that's across all disciplines, whether it's biology, economics, or anything else. So what has emerged over graduate level doctoral education is, all right, let's give the students some coursework. Let's teach them a little bit about research design, right? Let's make sure they understand how to structure their research. Let's teach them about organizational change, if that was their desire. So the coursework is important. The coursework also validates your degree. You can sit an interview or at a faculty meeting and say, no, I took a course in strategic international management, and here's what works and here's what doesn't work, because you have that knowledge. So your degree is going to be very, very valid. You would have earned a doctorate degree, a US-based doctorate degree under the US educational model, which is very much valid in India or across any, across the globe, whether that is in, Europe now, the DBA is picking up steam. There are a lot more students who are pursuing the DBA in Europe. And they're doing it not with the traditional PhD model, but they're doing with our model, which is, all right, let's supplement and complement your knowledge with coursework.
Okay. So, we just talked about the specializations of DBA program, and there is this one specialization that is AI, artificial intelligence. So, is it a good time to pursue the DBA program in artificial intelligence?
That's a new industry, right? That's a new field in information technology management. And the reality is that we don't have enough trained individual across the globe with the knowledge and the skill set to manage AI, right? You know,
Yeah.
Governments now are looking at putting in a lot of money into how do we use AI to increase, the welfare of our nation, right? How do we use AI, to create 1.6 billion people in India? How do we use AI to deliver, basic services to 1.6 billion people, right? If you come to our DBA program, what it will allow you to do is it will give you all of the other knowledge set that we talked about. But you then tell us you want to do your program, your dissertation, that your interest is in AI. We will create that pathway for you. You'll take all of the other relevant courses that we have because you need those to say, well, I'm qualified and I earned this credential because I've taken and I have knowledge in all of these common specific areas. But I also did my dissertation in AI. I also took, several specialization courses in AI. So I also now have that knowledge. So it's a new field. We will definitely, we have a master's in cybersecurity, master's in data science. We have a master's in computer science. We're going to have an AI component to all of those graduate level courses.
And if we talk about the career opportunities after DBA program, especially we just talked artificial
Right.
intelligence.
So, someone with a DBA who comes to us, completes it in 2.5 years, is projected to, number one, increase their income. Not everyone's income is going to increase. It depends on your interest. You might decide to go into the not for profit world, and so you would earn less. But if you stay, let's say you stay in, or you move into AI, right? AI professionals will probably be earning, anywhere from 250K and onwards, right? Because number one, we don't have enough of those individuals who have the knowledge and skill set to guide that industry. So yeah, there will be, a need for them. But overall, and depending on your interest in your field, right? In this decade, from 2020 to 2030, it is projected that DBA programs will grow by 14%. So the number of jobs that will be available for DBA, people with the credential DBA, is expected to increase by 14% right away. If it was one more percentage point, your chances then it becomes 15%, right? You've got a leg up on everyone else. So, that those are pretty good percentage. And it will,
So it is
when you start,
definitely a growing industry.
yeah, when you start factoring other industries as well, like as you mentioned, when if you put AI now in the formula, what does that do with the demand for credential people, right? Everyone is going to say, well, I understand AI, I know AI, I can develop AI. But having the credential that says that you understand it from an educational institution or somewhere else, well, that makes you a lot more marketable. It makes you, to seamlessly transition to better opportunities that are driving the future of the way that we probably live and work.
So we talked a lot about the DBA program benefits, and I think it is a very big industry, and
Mhm.
going to be a very big industry in coming years. And we really would like to know about the designations one can have after completing DBA program.
You could do with a DBA, it gives you the flexibility, right? As most doctorate degree, it does allow you flexibility, but the DBA allows you to stay in industry, not for profit, right? Or you can transition. If let's say and many people are like this, you are in corporate and you earn a lot of money, and you said, well, I've done that, I did that, I don't want to change my life, I want to contribute to the next generation of leaders, I want to help frame new minds and develop the next leadership that would probably tackle AI. Well, I want to go into teaching. So your DBA would allow you to get into the teaching as well. Or, there are a lot of people, you heard of, business consultants, right? And many times, they would have only an MBA behind their name, the Master of Business Administration. But a DBA, if you decided that you wanted to get into the field of consulting after years of being in a particular field, well, this credential would help you, right? It's almost like saying, okay, you're a CPA, you're authorized to sign off on the three financial statements, right? The DBA having it your name will authorize you, and you can say, well, I am credentialed to assess an organization. I'm credentialed to look at the strategic direction of an organization. I am credentialed to look at the resources of an organization and to advise, how do you better use your resources? How do you better position yourself for future market changes? How do you better position yourself for industry changes such as AI as well? So there are, so many direction and avenues, you can get to. And as I said, a doctorate degree allows you to pursue different interests, and it opens up doors. It really does open up doors. It gives you flexibility in terms of your employment, what you want to do. It allows you to possibly change your lifestyle.
So one can have a job in India as well.
Yeah. You know, you complete our DBA program, I am sure that, you can secure a job in India or any part of the world, right? Our degree is recognized, it is authorized, it's a US based degree. So, what your employer would say, well, you went to Birchwood University, they can easily go online and Google us and see what Birchwood University is. Or they can go to the Department of Education in Florida and see if we are authorized to grant the degree. And you'll see that we are authorized to grant degree. So yeah, your program, your degree is going to be recognized. Your coursework will be globally accepted because every part of the world can recognize what a research design course is. They can recognize, what global management course is. They can recognize what strategic international management is. They can recognize what a organization design and leadership course is. So, it's not unfamiliar. And our program was designed to make sure that who's looking at our curriculum or have one of our graduates sitting in front of them and interviewing them for C-level role and their organization, that they can see that our student, our graduate, comes with all these knowledge and the competencies that is required to be at that level.
And what are the research opportunities?
Research opportunity.
Yes, yes. What are the
So
research opportunities?
yeah, so basically,
And how Birchwood is helping?
as I said, when you come into our program, right, we want you, let's say, I'll give you, you're working at an NGO, right? And your NGO is doing, running clinics across the globe, right? And they're looking to expand in a particular country or a particular market. And you come to us and say, well, this is how I want to connect my education to my job. Because if I can do that, I have access to data, to people, to resources that'll help me complete my DBA program. So what we will say is, okay, you have a clear sense what it is that you want to do. So we will then work with you on the research design. We will then work with you on developing a plan so you can go out and see what has been done already in that particular industry, that segment of the market. And then we'll ask you to put all of that down so you can look at how do I create something unique and different. And so, that's technically the lit review, right? In a doctoral program, that's the lit. So that we'll have you go through the process. Then we'll have you do a model. We'll have you do something. Okay, let's do a test run of this idea. And out of that, we would gather some data, and then we would have you do some analysis on the data. And then, as a result of the analysis, we'll have you look at the result of that data and says, okay, we're going to enter this particular market, but here's what we discovered, and here's the recommendation. And you can then take that back to your organization. That becomes an empirical work, your dissertation, but you can take it back to your organization and say, here's a plan of how to expand in that particular market. Was that clear?
Yeah, that was clear. So, how does the thesis coordinator will help one get through this program?
So, when you come to us, your thesis coordinator is going to be your best friend, right? They're going to be connected at the hips. You're going to make sure that he or she knows you. He or she knows your interests, as I just outlined, and he or she must know, your pathway towards completing dissertation/thesis. And so their job is going to be to ensure that you complete it. Their job is going to be to ensure that it's got relevancy. Their job is to ensure that is accurate. Their job is to ensure that your discovery of knowledge is substantial and your contribution is substantial and that is practical. That, this is not abstract. You didn't write a paper and nobody can use it, or, you hang it up on your bookshelf. No. If I tell you what my master's thesis was on, you would be surprised. And very little application, but that was a long time ago. So I've learned, from experience, the need having relevancy in your research.
So, you have evolved with time.
Yes. Yeah. Well, at Birchwood, we're all going to be there. From the time you get into the university, whether you're a master's student or an undergrad student or, in one of our master's program, you're connected with an advisor, and that particular person is going to stay with you, and that person guides you through your entire program. So we're now getting, our graduates, and they're leaving. So this is the time that person would say, okay, let's look at making sure that you've completed all the requirements. Let's make sure that you put in your application for graduation and all of the basic stuff, and make sure that we've got your master's thesis on file or your capstone course if it's the undergraduate level. And when we get to the DBA, well, it'll be that we file your dissertation with the U.S. Library of Congress, and then it's accepted throughout the world.
Okay. So, and who will be the panel member to evaluate my work?
So when you engage in graduate level of work, right, whether it's any program, doctorate, a DBA or a PhD, you will have to work with faculty members, because the faculty member must also have a doctorate degree. So then there will also be a committee that your primary faculty chair will assemble a committee, generally about 2 other faculty members, and they will also review your work give you guidance as you move forward. The primary person is going to be, the chair of your committee. That will be your primary person. That person is going to guide you to making sure that you satisfied all of the requirements. You can be proud of what you're doing, that we can be proud of you at Birchwood University of what you're doing. And so that composition of faculty, that's their role, that's their job.
And if you can tell us the major differences between DBA and PhD's study model.
So, as I said, number one, it's really, the time for completion, right? Because your DBA work, their dissertation, your project is focused on a realistic project supported hopefully by your organization, right? You can access data, you can access information and people to help you guide you through it. That you'll have a clear pathway towards completion. In a PhD, right, after you finish the coursework, you still need a year and a half, 2 years to finish your dissertation. And that's because, generally in a PhD program, they don't allow you to start working on your research project until you finish all of the coursework. But as I said, our design is very different, which is we want you to start working on that coursework immediately, the dissertation immediately. So, that's one difference. The second difference is that you're in a PhD program, you're going to be focusing, the coursework is going to focus mostly on research design, empirical research design. Whereas, let's say you were doing a PhD in biochemistry, right? It'll focus you on the experiments, right? And trying new experiments and recording that data and getting information and then doing it again and again and again. We will do that with a DBA, but it will be quicker. It's not going to be that your first experiment should last 1 year and then you wait another year to do the second. We want you to do it within months. So, that's another big difference. The third thing, which is very important to people, is cost. 5 years in a PhD program, 6 years, as opposed to, 2.5 years in a DBA program. And, that is money that the last in 2 years, right, that you're saving and getting the DBA is money that you can earn, that you can possibly change your personal life, that you can change your family life, you can change your community life, right? That's important because we all know you need resources, right? And we do. And, more importantly, I think if you can identify a project that can impact your community and impact your organization, I think, that is a big winner, and not do something very abstract, that most of the time in PhD programs are sometimes abstract research or so. So those are the major differences.
So now I am very much into this program and intrigued, and I wanted to take admission. And I feel there are a lot of students who are watching this session will be very much satisfied with the information you have given. And now we really wanted to know about the admission process.
The admissions process is very simple. It starts with the very first step is, look at the program, right? There's a layout on our website so you understand what you're getting into. Second step is that you fill out a small card that you'll see on the website, and it'll say we would need your contact information so you can be contacted and to learn more about the specifics of the program. So as soon as you fill out that form, which is, your name and contact info, email and phone number, someone will contact you. And then the next step is, if you're satisfied and all of your questions have been answered, then we will say, consider going through the application process. And the application process is, we need your transcripts. We need to have a completed application on file. We need you to also make sure that you complete the essay. We need you to ensure that we receive all of that information. And then an admissions committee would sit and look at your application in its entirety and said, yes, this is a good student for the DBA program. We can see that the student, is coming here with a purpose, and not just wanting to get a doctorate degree, but, they want to use their knowledge to enhance, the organization that they're with. So it's a simple admissions process. The most difficult thing, and this is regardless of programs, is students getting their official documents to us. And I've been at quite a few universities, and this is the most daunting step in the admissions process, is to start getting your official documents to us, because we've got to maintain, in the state of Florida, the Department of Education requires us to make sure that all of the criteria that we laid out on our website, to say these are the admission requirements, that we have a copy of those requirements in the student folder. So when they come, the Commission on Independent Education comes every year to our office, and they want to see who we have admitted, and is this person, all of the documentation they said that we say that they need to get into the program is on the website. So, that we have a regulatory responsibility to make sure that we have all of this information on a particular student. So that's pretty much the admissions process.
So after completing the program, I wanted to be called as Dr. Pooja. So I know that it is possible after completing the PhD program. Is it the same with DBA? Will I be also called as Dr. Pooja after
Absolutely. As soon as you finish, as soon as your chair of the dissertation committee approves your dissertation, that same day, that same hour, that same minute, you can call yourself doctor. So yes, it's a doctorate. You have earned a doctorate degree. You've satisfied all of the requirements, a doctoral program. So the answer is, if people don't call you doctor, then they don't understand, what you have accomplished. But yes, you're called a doctor. When I got my PhD, from the time that they told me that I got my PhD, I started using doctor. So yes, you can. Yes. And professionally.
Actually, that's the most important thing after completing PhD or DBA program. We want to be called as doctors.
Professionally, that's who you are now. You would be doctor. Yeah.
So will it help me in personal branding as well, and getting seats on the board of the company?
Absolutely. And you see this a lot if you go into organizations and people with doctorate degrees, right? You'll see that, on their door where their name is, it will say Dr. So and so. It will say, Usha Pandey, DBA, right? So it does give you the credibility in an organization. It does give you, if you're sitting at a board meeting, well, the board members, they will have to refer to you by, your professional designation, which is, doctor. So it does provide with that. And then, people expect that you're thinking at a different level, that you're approaching challenges and problems differently, because you've got this training that you're bringing to the table. And so, yes, they will see you differently.
Yes, this is all, and I think we have just discussed all the queries related to DBA program and the DBA program for Birchwood University, and it will clear the confusions of many. I really hope. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Tilokie. And it's a pleasure to have you. And you have actually shared all the information about the program. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you for taking time. And it's interesting. And, if someone were to watch this video, they would not realize that you're sitting halfway across the world, and I'm sitting halfway across, the world as well. And we were engaging in a conversation for a good 2 hours. But
They will definitely come up with the decision after
yes,
watching this video.
but because we're sharing about how you can empower yourself, how you can change your whole profession, and how you can impact your family and your community, and how you can while gaining new knowledge that you're contributing to your organization, whether, as I said earlier, whether it's an NGO or a for-profit company. All of those things are fascinating. And when you engage in discussion about that, well, hopefully it becomes interesting to people. So thank you for taking the time. We look forward to students learning more about the program and sending us requests for wanting to have more information. Just Birchwood University. Just Google us in Orlando and take you specifically to the inquiry page where you can receive more and more information about the program.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Bye
Okay.
bye.
Bye.